Charge of the cold storage now, or do you all participate?
No, we all participate. You see, it's those who have work to do in the cold storage are part of the team who can go there without much of a problem. See, it's on a day-to-day basis. We write down our name, what time we came, and what work we are doing. But for those who are not working and would like to sort of go there, some special permission is required from the trustees.
Understand. Yes.
Even those who are working at the archives, not everybody is permitted to go to the cold storage unless there is a definite reason. Then it's all right. Otherwise, just to sort of go and see what is happening there, or what sort of things are being kept, that it is not sort of encouraged.
And you have enough room now in the cold storage?
Uh,
Because I know that many books signed by Sri Aurobindo are also kept there.
See, when the cold storage was planned, we had planned it for a certain number of books which were with books and material which was with us, plus a certain extra amount which we thought would be coming. Now, but at the time people didn't want to give, and we didn't even know that there are certain things which people would almost insist on keeping it in the cold storage. So we built it according to the need of the archives as such, and plus some more space. I see that is getting more and more filled up. And there will be a time when the need for a second cold storage might be felt also.
To move to another subject, we always like to ask our friends about their relations with some of the older sadhaks.
Yeah.
Can you share some reminiscences of Nolini or Champaklal, Amrita, anyone, Pavitra?
Okay, Champaklal, for example.
Yes.
In the beginning, I was somewhat associated with Champaklal. Champaklal was a born archivist. That you should know. You can't believe it, but that's a fact. I saw that how is it this person who, was not educated to be an archivist, was maintaining such scrupulous record. Somebody would give him some photographs, he would write down immediately behind when was it given, who gave it, and all those details were entered inside the thing. Incredible. And then in the very beginning, when he would ask me to come and help him with making copies of certain things, he said, "You give me one copy. I want to keep it for my own reference." Then he would tag it, whatever needs to be done, so that whenever it's necessary, he can sort of get it back. So like that, I have seen that whatever things he had a sort of record of everything, including Shrivindo's nails, Shrivindo's hair, and every little thing that you can imagine. He used to sort of keep a good tab of. That was incredible about Champaklal. Very, very meticulous. So there was a time when for every little thing he used to ask me, "Okay, give me a copy, give me a copy." Now, those times I had to do the printing in the dark room. Making copies means double the time. So sometimes I would not give him copy because, for practical reasons, I just could not do it, although I wanted to do it. And he would say, why didn't you give me the copy? I need to keep it for my own reference. So he was very particular about these things.
And did he give you things to cop for the archives?
You see, at that time, yes, as far as I recollect, not much has come from Champaklal to the archives. Very little. And his was basically correspondence, talks, things that he had kept, which ultimately came out in the form of a book, as notes and all that. He didn't have much correspondence from what I remember. Whereas Nirodha and Nirodha had a huge correspondence. For every little thing he used to write to Sri Aurobindo, and as you know,
Yes.
and it's very interesting to sort of go through these things, this correspondence, because I've gone through the letters of Sri Aurobindo as it is published, but when you see the reply of Sri Aurobindo with respect to what is written, it is so much more interesting from a certain perspective, So maybe at some point of time something will come out in terms of correspondence of a particular person.
Oh.
But the job of, see, archives is coming out with collected works of Aurobindo, for example, and there are issues which you will not realize, which we have to face over here. I am not an editor, but I am telling you from what one of the editors said. So he said that, okay, you were discussing certain issues, why it takes so long, you have all these hundreds of boxes there lying around there, why do you take such a long time to sort of come up with a book? So the one of the editors said, you people don't realize it, but it's a lot of work. And give me an example, I said. Okay, see, we have 20 disciples writing, saying that, for example, this is not the exact thing, but he said that, I have a craving for food, this desire for food. How do I conquer it? For example, each one saying in their own way and the reaction which is there. So you can't publish all these 20 answers, right? When you are bringing out the collected works. So how do you go about? So you, out of say of this 20, you choose the most representative one and you sort of bring it out. But in order to bring out those 2 or 3 answers which are representative, you have to go through all those 20 or 30 correspondence which are there and make sure you are doing justice to that. Because there is no question there. You have to sort of put it by itself. So in the early days, it was Kishore Gandhi used to do that, and that it should go to Aurobindo back, and if necessary, Aurobindo used to write down something and send it back and say, okay, this you can publish. Now you can publish. But now we have to sort of make a choice ourselves on a human level.
Tell us a little bit about the CWSA, Collected Works of Sri Aurobindo.
See, I am not an editor for this, so I will not be the right person to answer.
Okay. Your work with photography.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. But I want to get back also to other disciples that you worked with or knew.
Yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
as you like.
See, my working with disciples has been minimal in terms of work. It's more on a personal rapport that was there. But work-wise, the maximum was with Amal Kiran, because he used to sort of send us the correspondence, and we said, okay, yeah, but where is the other portion which is there? Because he was getting older, he didn't have everything in order. So then he used to sort of send the next part, and after some time another small portion. So I think in the course of last 30, 40 years, he would have sent us, about 7 to 8 consignments of his correspondence, which ultimately we had to put it together in microfilm. So that way is gone. But the thing is, see, in course of time, people have come to realize that we are serious, we are taking good care of it. I hope that's how they feel, because that's the feedback I get. And we try to do justice to whatever comes in and arrange in such a way that, when people want to, there are people who said, look, I gave you these manuscripts, can I have them back? I would like to, they're very precious to us and all that. So in some cases, we do give it back because it's theirs afterwards, after all. Or they say, can you give us the scans of those manuscripts and photographs that I have given you? Then, although we normally don't give it to anybody and everybody, but if the owner comes and asks, we give it to them.
Now you have upstairs, and you have downstairs, then you have your office.
Yes, yes.
What is in the 2 downstairs offices where Chaitanya, Lynn are there?
Yeah. See, as and when archives grew, we needed more and more space. But the building had only limited space. So when the preservation work expanded, it went across to where Barbie stays. That's where they do the preservation of manuscripts or books and all that material. It cannot be done in the archives because there is no place. Then when the archives was formed, it was decided with the mother that we will be keeping at least 2 copies of all the books that are published, by the ashram and others on Aurobindo and the mother. Okay, so that there is no place for that at the archive. So where do you put? So we were given another place where we can keep on putting this thing. That place has also become full. So space is always a constraint for us. So similarly, we started with, say, 3 rooms upstairs. Then they wanted to have another room exclusively for photography. I was given a room downstairs where the photographic work can be done. And then we needed another room for scanning the manuscripts and everything. So the room by the side was given. So that's how we got more and more space. But then don't forget that we also receive things from time to time. As and when some people pass away, we get trunk loads of material. Where do we keep them? If we had just X amount to get started with, and we can stay put with that. But then if you start getting more and more information, more and more documents, we have to file them somewhere. So we need more and more space for that. So that's how archives started getting bigger.
So you actually could get trunkfuls at times?
Yeah. But then, you see, it's not manuscripts alone.
Oh,
that
right.
They would have, say, books, they would have correspondence, or they would have manuscripts, they would have photographs, they would have recordings, and so on. So all that we need to organize now.
Yes. Now, personally, your remembrances of Nalini first, what it was like for you to
I did not have much contact with Nalinda. It's only when there was some special work that was involved, I used to go to him. He was an intellectual. He used to we felt that he was living in his own world, even if he was going there and we sort of passed by, he would be in his own world, that way. And if there was some questions about sadhana or whatever, some of us, we used to go and talk to him, and he would sort of give his point of view or some sort of feedback to help us.
Narad Baran?
Nirod Baran was my English teacher for a very short time, and my contact with him were also limited, except when there was some work. We used to do the microfilm of his book and all that. Once in a while, he would need my help, and I would sort of go and see him. But with both Nirodha and Nalida, our rapport was a very, very friendly, on a very, very friendly level.
Now, you've spoken of Champaklal. Any other stories you can tell us about Champaklal that you can recall?
Nothing really special right at the moment. Maybe something will come up afterwards.
And Pavitra?
Oh, Pavitra, you see, he passed away when I was around 17. I didn't have much interaction with him. He was there in the school. We used to come. Sometimes we used to exchange words, but nothing more than that at that time. I was still a kid,
Yeah. But I think you can tell us more about Pranab.
Yes, something I can say about Pranab. You see, there are various aspects to a person, and depending upon their predisposition and temperament, they will act and react accordingly. Pranab was, as far as I see, was quite transparent in his manner. You be sincere, you're straightforward, and not making a nuisance of yourself, there is no problem. But if somebody is creating trouble, or for example, making a fool of himself or whatever it is, in the very early days, when I joined in the 60s or whatever it is, he would ask you a question and you really fool yourself, you won't slap. And I mean, he would take you to task. And mother would know about it, and mother would sort of let him do whatever is necessary. And he would not hesitate to sort of bash somebody if they have done something really nasty. But something very nice about him was he would say sometimes, it went a bit too far. Next day he would call in and say, "I'm very sorry. I apologize for, whatever I've done." And that was very nice of him. So this is one aspect, but he was trying to do something good. And in those days, taking somebody to task physically was not considered something like, a no. It was part of the disciplinary action that, they needed to take. And it was done that way. That's it. And because of that, there was a lot of discipline in those days, I think. Maybe not necessarily, but because of the fact that he was expecting discipline, and that you need to behave in a certain strict manner, everything was working the way it should. And there was a lot of discipline there. You can't fool around in those days. But that was because he was a captain and all that. But he had also a very charming personal style. You know, when we went to see him in his office, he said, "Hey, we come, why don't you sit down?" And sometimes he used to play clarinet, and he used to sort of joke around. Very nice. It's see, not many people have seen him, so they will have different opinion. But he could be very charming and nice and understanding. He liked to go out for picnics and see people and all that. There is also something very special about him.
I had something that came to mind, and that's, I see you in your office at work. What are you doing presently?
What am I doing presently in terms of work? Look, I have a few hats, some of which I don't talk about, but one of my main things is I've taken it upon myself that, you know, since I'm working in the archives for the past 42 years now, it's 42 years. I've seen that photographs, information of photographs of Mother Aurobindo, of people, of disciples, and all that, they were all in small collection with various people, and it was not at all organized. People used to come in the beginning, they said, "Look, I'm writing a book, I'd like to have this photograph of the mother, this photograph of Aurobindo, this photograph of a particular sadhak, flowers, for example," and all that. And although we had it, where was that? Where is it kept? You know, it's very difficult. Some of them in a slide, some of them are in print form, some of them are, you know, in a different printed form. So how can you remember, and how much can you really remember mentally? It was very difficult. Keeping track of also very difficult. So I said, man, this is too much. Every day people used to come for 2-3 photographs, and then I used to spend half my time trying to look for those photographs so that they can use it in their book or the play or whatever, you know. So about 10 years back, I saw that computerization is a thing, is the way to go. And I decided then that this will be my mission in my life, that before I go, I want to make sure that whatever is there in my custody today, I will organize it in such a way that people can get the information they want without the trouble that I'm taking through. They should go on the computer and say, ask our people that, okay, I want this photograph or this manuscript or, you know, whatever. If it is there, it should display and say, yes, it is there, and where it is there, and we should be able to give it. So I'm especially interested with photographs and media, and that is where my effort is there. So for the past 5 years, 7 years now, the effort has been in terms of developing the software and taking help of the people to sort of back up, as you said, and making sure that it stays in a format that is accessible, which means that today we will have, let's say, on a DVD stored on a gold DVD format. But after 5 years, it may not be available. The DVD may not be readable. So the media has to upgrade it. So somebody has to take care of that, you know. So we have it as well on a server, it is there on the hard drive, and it is there on, we started with DVD, but now we discontinued with that. And it has to be kept in a place which is outside. So all these things have been taken care of. It is easy to say that we are computerizing, but how much time, labor, expenses, everything goes behind it, you know, only those who really are involved in it would know about it. So this has been my endeavor to make sure that all the photographic media that we have is put under computer so that it is available easily to people who would like to have it. And you won't believe it, even before we are like, you know, halfway through now, people are bringing out, you'll see very soon, books with 300 photographs of the activities that were taking place in the ashram, something which was unimaginable, let's say, 5 years back. How? They said, look, I'm writing a book, on the playground, how the physical education started in the ashram. So I want to have when the mother, the early photos of the playground, early photographs of tennis ground, early photographs of sports ground, how it developed, this room, that room, this school room, that school room, how to find that. Today, because it is there in on the computer, I can just say, okay, show me this particular thing, and it is showing whatever we want. And it's amazing that there are 3 to 4 books, each one containing at least 200 to 300 photographs, which are going to come out very soon. And that is thanks to this computerization, which is helping. Now, that will benefit people because people will see, oh, this is how it was in those days. Or was it like that the mother was sort of taking care of you? I mean, you will see an aspect of the mother which was not seen so far.
That's also the reason for these interviews. So, what kind of software have you developed?
See, we have a team, very nice, a harmonious team. And in the team, we have individuals, each who is good in his own field or in her own field. So we have somebody who develops the software program. So I've told the person that, look, we need to have the basic. I don't want anything complicated, just the basic so that when I look for it, it should be able to show me. So the person developed it. Then I said, I want to make sure that if I can, somebody says I want to have this half a dozen photograph, I should be able to print it. So he does the development of the program. Now it is possible for me to print it and give it to you. So then what happens is in the computer, it's a bit technical now, but I don't know whether I should be speaking about it here. But what happens is, it's all low resolution photograph. But once you have identified the low resolution, I should be able to go back to the high resolution so that when you say that I'm going to print the book, I can go and fetch the high resolution also.
Yes.
Because to work on a program, you need to have a low resolution photograph. So this linkages is being now made more and more so that automatically you can get all this information.
And DVD is now finished, pretty much?
We don't use it. Let me put it this way.
Interesting,
Because the reason is you need to have a machine to read the DVD. Right? So after 5 years, you may not have this machine to read the DVD, although the DVD itself will be there. But you won't have the machine. Yeah. If you see, when I started with the computers, we had this 8-inch discs which was being used. Then came 4-inch discs. Then it came 3.5 discs. Then came hardware. I tell you some story. In 1992, there was a talk in Ashram that, okay, the archives has a 20 megabyte hard drive. We were the first to get a hard drive that is 20 megabyte.
20 megabytes.
Now 20 megabyte hard drive is nothing.
Nothing.
Today you take a photograph, the photograph itself is more than 20 megabytes. So the speed at which the technology is evolving, if you stick to the old one like DVD, very soon you will not be able to use it. So we need to sort of have media which will be read, possible to read also, say 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So we have two exercises. One is the media that stays the longest. The other one is we keep on updating the whole thing every now and then. So server and all that thing is one of the best means at the moment. Tapes were there. We tried with tapes, but somehow it didn't work out very conveniently.
And lastly, tell us your experience of life in the ashram after Mother's departure.
See, this is a question very difficult to answer.
Yes.
It depends upon how you look at it. From the physical point of view, from the point of view of prosperity, it has blossomed like anything. Funds, which were a real big constraint, I can see that, that is no more that big issue. So for you want to do something, funds are coming in. They're not it's not limited as long as you're reasonable. So that way it works. As far as the inner development is concerned, which is the most important thing for which the ashram is there, it is extremely difficult. In this sense, that until you come at a point when you can really feel the inner reality, which is always there, you have to make an effort to remember that and make sure that you are benefiting, you're making use of this wonderful opportunity that the Mother and Shivam has given in terms of the infrastructure which is there. Constantly remembering that no matter how often we fall, we should make sure that we get up again and don't give up on our journey towards the final realization.
Last question. Auroville, any connection?
Well, yes, to some extent. See, as far as I'm concerned, at the moment, the way I feel is that I have a certain goal, and then anything that is not coming and helping me towards the goal, I keep it aside and use as and when necessary. So I don't go to Auroville that often because I had no need. My connections are limited over there. Although I hear much about Auroville and I'm pleasantly surprised in terms of development that is going on and the people who are coming over there. But I can tell you something about the very early days, of Auroville, which we are trying to collect from our own sources and photographers, the negatives they've got, and we are scanning them. But that apart, in 1968, when I was studying with Tanmeda, he used to tell us a new township is going to be built and is going to be named as Auroville, and we were all so excited. And when the whole thing started coming up, from the ashram, we were taken over there to Auroville to help in bringing up the Matri Mandir, digging up the roads, and all that thing. Half the ashram used to go to work and help there. And I was one of them, I remember very clearly. And during the day, we had our classes and all that, and normally in the evening, we used to work there. And some of the earliest concreting work that was done there, I remember we were all together from the ashram and all the boys and girls, and we were sort of pouring the cement, taking up the wheelbarrow, and contributing to the building up of Auroville. So that was the time also when I was learning solar energy with Nata. There is one gentleman who was at Nata. He was teaching me solar energy, and he was my teacher for 2 years. So that's the time when he had built rooms over there in Promise. One of the earliest buildings in concrete had come up at Promise, and Nata was staying there. He had shifted from here to there.
I was also.
Oh, you were there, okay.
Yes, 69.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I used to go there. He used to take us there, and then he used to take our classes and show us whatever little experiments were made in. So that's how the connection with Auroville got stronger. And we saw some of the new huts with new designs and how they were made, new architectural buildings which are sort of coming up. And it was all very, very fascinating to see that these things are coming up. But later on, there was some trouble in Auroville, and then we were we stopped going there for some reason because it was all decided by the elders. And we started concentrating on our work over here more and more. But the connection with Auroville is always there. It is quite warm as far as I see. And with the type of work that is going on, we have more and more boys and girls going there and having some sort of connection with where there is real development going on. And that is nice.
My friend, Gilles Guiguin, is in charge of the archives there.
Yes.
And he's offered everything anyone wants.
Yeah, Gilles did come to see me. We had a very warm talk, an extremely nice person, very, very helpful. And I was so surprised to see a person who is so open and wanting to give and wanting to help.
Yes.
And I have, in return, I have not been able to give him just open up the whole thing because we have our own limitations. But if he wants some help or whenever it is, we will be more than happy to help him. He's an extremely nice person.
Kiran, it's been wonderful.
It's been wonderful
Thank
to
you
share with
so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.